Hi there. I'd just like to talk to you briefly about something that I get asked an awful lot, and that is, how much does innovation cost? So, how much do you think innovation costs? £5, £10, £1,000,000? Well, some organisations claim to spend a proportion of their turnover on research and development, which is not quite the same as innovation. There have been an awful lot of studies that say things like we spend about 1% of our turnover on research and development. And as I said, that's not the same thing as innovation, and it can amount to a huge amount of money. I mean, if you were turning over $100 million, and you'll see why I mention that later, then you would be turning over, you'd have to have $1 million spent on research. So I just want to tell you briefly about a company that I worked with. They'll remain anonymous, but basically it was a company that turned over about $100 million. They wanted to innovate, but they had 1,000 employees. There was no way on earth in the short space of time we had that we could actually go across the whole company with the intervention that we wanted. So we created an innovation department off to the side of the company. We populated it with people from operations, from marketing, from finance, from every part of the company, so that they were all represented. And they were given aims like, we want 5 new products within 6 months. They were allowed to effectively do whatever they liked. They were given some training, some ways of alternative thinking to help them do the things that we wanted them to do. But they were then left to their own devices, subject to these constraints. And at the end of 6 months, I have to say, it all worked out quite nicely. But at the end of those 6 months, that wasn't really the end of it. Yes, we had lots of new products. But the thing is about creativity, which is one of the components of innovation, is that you get so many side benefits. Now, creativity is slightly odd in that if you create the environment in which creativity flourishes, you end up with bucket loads of intrinsic motivation. But on the other hand, if you have an HR intervention and you do whatever you need to do to create that intrinsic motivation, you do not necessarily get creativity. So doing it the way round we did it, that was great. We got intrinsic motivation. It was seen as a reward. The people that went through this system thought it was brilliant. If you were selected to go on it, it was almost like a pat on the head. But nobody stayed there. People rotated through this. We called it the House of Ideas. They rotated through it. So gradually the whole company went through. So what happened at the end of this? Well, there was actually a recession looming, but during that recession the company managed to expand. They increased their workforce by 50% and survived the recession. But the point I'm coming to is the cost of it all. What did it all cost? Did it cost $1 million, $10 million? No, estimates are that it cost maybe more like $100,000. So we're talking about 0.1%, not very much at all. So I'm not saying we have to really scrimp on these things, but if you do the right thing, you can actually get the right things out of it. You can get an incredible bang for your buck. So if you'd like to talk this over, if you'd like to hear more about what we did, then just go to www.derekcheshire.com, and there's plenty of ways to contact me there. If you go to the rethinking page, there's a nice little button on the bottom where you can actually book a Zoom call. Doesn't cost you anything, and you'll get a slot in my calendar and a link, a Zoom link, which we both have access to. So that's it. Doesn't cost very much, as long as you do it right. Bye for now.